Good morning. We are pleased to present to you our research study entitled Dynamics and Determining Factors of Teaching Competencies as captured from the academic lens of Generation Z students of higher education institution in IMUS. This is Dr. Alfred Selina. Together with me is Miss Baby Karen Cristal as my co-author. Today's landscape of the demands of the teaching profession is becoming competitive and complex. Students, as the first-hand clients of the teaching force of an academic institution, have upgraded their level of expectation as to the manner by which teachers should deliver the learning process on a day-to-day basis. The progress of the students will depend to a great extent upon how well the teachers have delivered and performed their academic duties in and out of the classroom. The quality of teaching and the pedagogical development of academic personnel is considered equally important aspect in higher education. Periodic evaluation of the teaching performance of us as academic personnel continues to be an approach in monitoring and providing feedback from the major clients of the academe, and these are our students. Researchers define what perceived quality service is. It has generally been agreed that it is related to customer service evaluation according to the performance expectation level. In our study, our respondents are belonging to the Gen Z, and the students are characterized to have been born from the years 1996 to 2010. We have a total of 1,435 Gen Z students as respondents in this particular study. We covered 4 consecutive semesters. The qualifications of the academic personnel. In all, we have 49 academic personnel of a public higher education institution, the city of IMUS. As to the survey instrument that we use, that every instrument have undergone a rush analysis as subjected by Lubrica in 2011 from Benguet State University. It was revealed that it is reliable, and 17 out of 20 items are considered as independent indicators of performance. We worked within this framework. I've been mentioning that we cover the qualification of academic personnel as to the professional board examinations taken, their professional certificates that they have taken as accreditation, their civil service eligibility, the national competency certificate, the highest education attainment that they have, and the length of teaching experience. Along the process, all of these we subjected, were able to come up with an output, and we're able to determine the factors, the dynamics of teaching competencies based on the assessment of the Generation Z students being subjected to 4 major components. These are the commitment of the academic personnel, their knowledge of the subject matter, the teaching for independent learning part, and the management of learning. At this point, let me turn you over to my co-author to present the succeeding parts of this study.
Various data gathering techniques and methods were employed in order to obtain the necessary data and to answer the research questions in this study. Specifically, in research question of what are the qualifications of the academic personnel? Frequency and percentage distribution will be used as a method. For the second question, what is the level of perception of Gen Z students on the dynamics and determining factors in teaching effectiveness of the academic personnel? Likert scale, mean, and standard deviation will be used as a measurement. For the third question, is there a significant relationship between the qualifications of the academic personnel to the level of perception of the Gen Z students on their teaching effectiveness? Pearson correlation coefficient will be used as it is a very helpful statistical formula that measures the strength between the variables and its relationships. In fourth question, is there a significant difference between the level of perception of Gen Z students on the dynamics and determining factors in teaching effectiveness of the academic personnel from second semester school year 2017 to 2018 to first semester school year 2019 to 2020? Paired sample t-tests were used to determine whether the mean difference between two sets of observations is zero. Lastly, is there a significant difference between the perception of Gen Z students to the indicators of teaching effectiveness of the academic personnel? Paired sample t-tests will be used as well, as it determines whether the perception of the students and the indicators of teaching effectiveness is significant or not. This section provides the presentation, results, and discussion of the data used in this study, as well as the statistical test results. From the data gathered, this table shows the frequency and percent distribution of the academic personnel according to their teaching competency. Out of the 100% participants, 47% have taken professional board examination, as well as in professional certificate and accreditation with 47% academic personnel, 37% for civil service eligibility, and 53% in national competency certificate were observed. On the other hand, this table shows the percent distribution of the academic personnel according to the highest educational attainment during the 4 semesters covered. Out of the 49 participants, 32.65% obtained MBA and MA units as the highest educational attainment, which has the highest frequency observed. Meanwhile, the third table shows the frequency and percent distribution of the academic personnel according to the length of their teaching experience. Out of the 49 participants, as we can see, 42.86% of them have a length of teaching experience of 4 to 6 years, which has the highest frequency perceived. The next table shows the interpretation of the data towards the level of perception of Gen Z students on their teaching competencies of the academic personnel. And based on the researchers' computed grand mean, academic personnel of a higher education institute in Imus City, Cavite are perceived by Gen Z students to be qualified professionals and rated very satisfactory as regards to their teaching effectiveness and competencies. This table represents that there is a significant relationship between the qualifications of the academic personnel in terms of civil service eligibility to the perception of the Gen Z students on their teaching competencies in terms of knowledge of the subject matter and teaching for independent learning. On the other hand, the remaining indicators have found no significant relationship to the civil service eligibility and to the other remaining qualifications of the academic personnel. Meanwhile, this table represents that there is no significant difference between the level of perception of the Gen Z students on their teaching competencies in 4 consecutive semesters. In this table, it was found out that there is a significant difference between the perception of Gen Z students to the indicators of teaching competencies of the academic personnel of a higher education institute in Imu City except to the knowledge of the subject matter to the teaching for independent learning, which was found not significant. Since the crucial asset of institutions is its academic personnel, the dynamics determining factors such as their qualifications, accreditation, and highest educational attainment in their perception might not matter much to the Gen Z students. What seemed to have more importance for them is on how the academic personnel translate their track record and years of teaching experience, expertise, and knowledge of the subject matter into approaches that would engage them in healthy discourse, expand understanding, elucidate critical thinking, and create new learnings to the students. Competence, by the academic lens of the Gen Z students, it is implied that the higher education institution in Imo City, Cavite produced equally competent graduates. This is supported by the idea that the kind of students that the institution produce is conditioned by the quality of teachers and the quality of teaching they received, and it shows to their evaluation in terms of teaching for independent learning. High competence in leadership aspect among the academic personnel appears to be evident. Academic personnel have to be provided with continuing support towards enhancement of expertise and competence as reflected in the respondents' evaluation. And based on the findings and conclusions, the researchers offer the following recommendations. Academic personnel of a higher education institution in Imo City are perceived by Gen Z students to be qualified professionals and rated very satisfactory as regards to their teaching effectiveness and competencies. It is implied that such assessment be maintained. If not, improve further in order to continuously maintain quality faculty members. Professional qualifications, which include civil service eligibility, remarkable academic profiles such as awards, honors received by the faculty should be factored in it if the institutions would like to maintain good track record of having the best teaching force, as this was found to influence the level of appreciation and positive perception of the Gen Z students. In future studies, however, the inclusion of academic performance of Gen Z students could also be good point of focus and comparison. Thank you and good morning.